Now, again, I don't consider myself 100% traditional. For example, I don't want to get married. That's not traditional.
Why don't you want to get married?
Big L, big f***ing L to get married.
Especially as a guy in today's world.
It doesn't matter after 6-10 years. It doesn't matter after 6-10 years.
I'd consider myself somewhere in the middle, perhaps, when it comes to traditional, modern. I don't consider myself like the paragon of being a traditional man.
You wouldn't do it for tax breaks?
Huh? What's that?
No tax breaks?
Don't care. Don't care.
They're not that big.
No marriage. I'm not getting married. I'll get married if she has more money than me. How about that?
Okay, so it's about money.
So in the state, I'm pretty sure in the state of California, I think it's like 6 years if you were together.
Are you talking about common law marriage?
Yeah.
I don't think California, I'm pretty sure, doesn't have
Well, it goes the
law
same way. I don't think
It's
I would
not?
marry a man.
No,
there's only like
he
3
was
states that
broke.
still do it.
Wait, you wouldn't marry?
I would want to be making. I don't want to depend on a man for money, but I don't want to be with a man who doesn't have money.
That's cool.
Or marry a man who doesn't have money either. Because
That's cool. And I don't want to marry a woman who doesn't have money either.
That's cool, exactly. So I agree with you.
I'll have a long-term relationship with you, but marriage is out of the
so funny
picture.
is you always say men don't care about how much a woman makes.
I don't.
Look at you now.
It's not going to. It won't ever preclude me from having interest in a woman. But what I'm saying is, as a woman, if you want me to marry you, you got to be financially you got to make more money than me.
So
That's
like I said, some
That
men
is
care about how much a woman makes.
Well, I don't care because I don't care if I get married or not.
He's scared of a woman coming in and then divorcing him and taking
robbing him for all his money. That's
There's
fine,
also
but he always
prenups
says,
too, though.
And he says that there's ways
No
around them.
prenups.
Too much.
But he always says men don't care about how much a woman makes. Men don't care about this and that. But you just said she needs to be financially stable and have this, that, and the third. So men do care.
But I'm giving you a scenario, the sole scenario where I would get money. But if a woman did it, worked at Chick-fil-A.
You would not date someone who works at
Yes,
Chick-fil-A.
I would.
He would date but not marry.
Yeah.
No, I would have a long-term relationship with her.
Then what's
But you
the
wouldn't
point
marry
of
someone who worked at Chick-fil-A?
long-term dating someone if you're not going to marry them? Like, what's the end
What's
goal?
the point? What's the point of getting married if you're not religious?
Yeah.
Are you not religious?
I believe, but when it comes to marriage, and look, I think even devoutly Christian men have reason to fear marriage because here's the thing, even though I think marriage is a substantial part of the Christian faith and other religions' faith, there are certain just secular potential road bumps when it comes to marriage, even for Christian men, because if your wife at any point reserves the right to become an apostate, or even if she doesn't become an apostate, she can just change up and, I want to get a divorce for whatever reason, whether she remains religious or not, and then she's going to go see a divorce attorney who, whether they're religious or not is irrelevant. They're interested in siphoning as much money as possible from this, because I don't know exactly, but perhaps sometimes they have an incentive basically to do as much work as possible and to perhaps get the most favorable outcome for their client. And then on top of that, the state oversees the divorce, not the religion. And so even for religious men, the state will ultimately oversee if your marriage doesn't work. The state presides over your marriage and divorce, not.
I don't think the state should have any involvement in marriage whatsoever.
Take the state
Just
out.
Take it out of it.
Take it out of it.
I greatly think the state should have some control over marriage.
Why?
Maybe from the amount of women who, on the flip side, right, we're talking about women taking men's money from divorces, all the men who decide to leave their wives with their kids and go start a new family, a new life with their new family, and now their wife who they married when she was 18 years old and knocked her up, who has no degree, no job history, has to be put back out in the world with her 3 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment trying to funnel their lives.
Which is more common, men getting divorce raped or men...
You just said a word.
It's fine. Whatever. That happening to men, or men just leaving their partners who they've cherished and have children with?
I mean, I've heard personal anecdotes that line up with
both.
a very similar
and just because
amount of people
statistics,
affecting
because
both.
in divorce you can get divorce statistics, that doesn't mean that the opposite isn't happening with non-divorce families, especially in certain demographics and certain cities in the United States. There is 100% an influx of men that either go to jail or X, Y, and Z because of whatever government scheme that is targeting this demographic of people to be able to make their fathers go to jail, get caught up in drugs, and then now you have, or they just leave and create another family, but at the end of the day, you're creating fatherless homes and leaving the mother to be by herself with the children.
Right, but I would argue that there's a lot more men who are experiencing the negative outcomes of divorce than there are men who are in otherwise happy relationships with their partners who have children, and she stayed at home and he just, let me just upgrade and find a hotter chick. That's pretty rare.
I feel like
There's side chicks.
It happens.
I think it's
happens.
the exception rather than the rule. Do we live in a
Both are.
terrible, unfair world? Yes.
Both.
Is there?
Both are, is what I'm saying. Though.
I'm just
That's
saying,
why
it's-
the state
Here's the
needs
thing.
to be involved, because there needs to be protections. Because what's worse? Okay, I know it is worse. I know it's really bad. Obviously, if she takes you for your money, you have to give her alimony or all this crap. But having to pay your ex-wife a monthly fee, or kids going on the street because their fathers are divorcing their mothers and leaving them.
Yeah.
Which one's worse?
Yeah,
Which one
so
needs more protection?
Altruistically, yeah, you're right. But the fact is, a lot of these women aren't just like, how can I provide for my kids? It's like, I want as much money as possible.
Which is
And it's-
unfair.
Exactly, and it's vindictive.
Yeah.
Like I said, the world is not fair. War exists. Murder is a thing. Crime is real. Like, I wish it wasn't. I wish it weren't the case. I wish that having more government would get rid of all of that, but it doesn't.
Yeah, but I don't think
So-
the church could handle it either.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? So there's a case to be made that in the scenario you provided, where the woman disregards pursuing a career, she's stay at home, she
A real
raises a bunch
trad
of
wife.
kids, right? So let's say in that scenario that 10 years down the road they get divorced, whoever initiates it, right? But let's say that man went on to make, without her assistance in any capacity, we acknowledge that, in the household, she birthed the children, took care of them, etc. But she didn't help him in any way to go on, and let's say he went on to become a millionaire, making millions of dollars a year. I think what would be fair in the case of alimony and child support, certainly if she initiates the divorce, whatever her earning potential would have been had she continued pursuing whatever career it would have been, I don't think she's entitled to some percentage of his $1 million earning capacity. Whatever, if she was destined, let's say she never got married and she was predestined to become a hairstystylist, whatever
I make
alimony.
bank, so don't choose that one.
Okay, I don't know. She was gonna work. She's gonna make the average wage. She's gonna go in the corporate world. Let's say she was gonna make $60K a year, but her husband goes on to make millions of dollars a year. I do think what would be fair is there could be an argument that he has to compensate her what she would have been destined to make had she not been married.
For alimony.
Yeah.
But as a man, why would you not want to
your kids to live in a great
right,
life?
Exactly.
She's gonna have your kids most of the time, right? So
if
whatever you give her
alimony,
is for the
I completely
kids.
agree. But child support, I feel like if you're a millionaire, as a man, you should want to be able to invest in your children. To
And that's why
your
you marry
best
that woman. That's the
capacity.
mother of your kids.
Well, okay,
First of all, second, I
child
think it
support's
should.
different
I think
than
it should
alimony.
be varying if whoever initiates the divorce. That definitely should be in consideration unless there's proof of infidelity, abuse, or other things like that. But if they're the one initiating the divorce, that's completely different.
So
right?
if she initiates the divorce
And
and
there's
there's
no-
no abuse and no infidelity, she should get nothing. What do you think about that?
she should get child support.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was her choice. If she's just unhappy in the marriage, then that's her problem.
Perhaps reasonable child support, but it's not.
Most
Oftentimes.
of the time, child support they make it as low as they can. Child support not many men are getting effed on child support. Most of the time even if your child support is $2,000 a month, daycare is $2,000 a month. Yeah. It might seem like a lot, but having that child is always a lot more. Especially the men who don't have their children at all. So that's one point to it. And then two, yeah, you should want better for your kids anyways. And then I had a third point, but I forgot.
And not only that, some guys get away not paying child support because they're working off the books.
Yeah.
And they're making like sometimes $5,000.
My coworker did it.
$3,500
I have a
a
coworker
month.
who was getting paid under the table the past 2 years. I didn't even know it. They were helping him out so he wouldn't get his pay relinquished for
But
child support.
shout out to the men that even if they do get paid under books and they don't want to go through court, but they still provide for
Yeah.
their child.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to take care of your kids?
Right.
Like,
it,
what
it
are
makes
you talking
sense.
about?
You should
I
like
think
court
on
should be the
average-
last
Resort.
option. Yeah, the court should be last resort.
I think on average, most men are wanting to take care of the kids in that scenario. In a divorce scenario, I think most men are like, I wish I had my kids. I want to take care of my kids. So in this terrible scenario where my wife is greedy and demanding all this money, I'm still going to do it because my kids are still going to be taken care of.
And that's why I think if she's initiating the divorce, that's usually where these problems come, where men are getting stripped from their money because women are just marrying and divorcing, marrying and divorcing.
Which comes back to my original point. I don't think so. That's why I believe I don't think the government should be involved in this. Now, is there going to be somebody who takes advantage of that and kicks their wife out, puts them on the street? Maybe. But I think that's the exception. Like how most people aren't murderers. Like how most people probably aren't violent criminals. Do they exist? Yes, it's terrible. But I generally think in the scenario where a woman gets kicked out on the street with her kids, I'm very sure that somebody or some entity is going to come and try to help her out. I think society in general hates to see women and children suffering.
Not really.